feet to 10 feet in diameter.
Yeah, small project.
Yeah.
But still, it gives you that aquatic garden and that ambiance and the feel of, and maybe the sound of water.
The sound of water. And then, of course, one of the main advantages to building a water feature is it'll attract wild birds, and you'll have, butterflies and stuff showing up. And
he has a water feature in his yard. Tell him the crazy shiz that comes in your yard.
Yeah. So just a tiny bit of a backstory on that, and exactly what you said. We started out with one of those prefabbed plastic molded things. It's just a pond. And after that year, we loved it so much, but we're like, you know what? That's just not quite right. And one thing that I remember very well was money. The amount of money invested in that. And it was like we were trying to go with the least amount of cost to financial break. Okay, this is going to be really cool and it looks really big. But once you put it in your yard, you're like, wow, that's super small.
Yeah.
We need to go bigger and we need to plan this out. And so we actually took a class from Sterling up in Salt Lake. My wife and I took a class on how to build a pond correctly the first time. And so then, long story short, we built this beautiful pond, and a 3,000-gallon pond, and with a little dry stream that goes to it. But the coolest thing ever is the plants that we can plant in there. It opens up the palette of what you normally can with your terrestrial plants. So that kind of adds a cool factor to it. And then the wildlife that come in. Yeah. And we've had kingfisher, which I had never seen before that.
So he's putting goldfish to eat the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And they're freaking eating the goldfish, these
kingfishers. Oh, yeah.
They'll dive in there and eat the goldfish. Of course, lots of snakes.
Yeah.
Which was cool when my kids were younger. They would... they weren't afraid of them, they'd pick them up and everything. And it's kind of funny how kids are like that. They just don't realize that, I mean, they're garden snakes, so it's not a big deal. But we've had duck come, flying in. And,
yeah, they will.
What else? I've had a list of, skunk, raccoon, for good or for bad.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Especially with a pond. You'll get that.
Yeah.
And because some of the features we'll build are disappearing waterfalls, and so you don't really have the pond part of it. Right. Or you may have like an inch of water at the bottom, at the bottom pool where a waterfall will drop into the bottom pool. And it's just kind of like what I call a reflecting pool. And it's just a shallow pool of water where the birds will get in there and bathe. So it's always fun to watch them come in and do that.
Yeah.
But the ponds can be really fun because, I've built ponds too where you'll have, fish, goldfish or koi fish, and then you end up with, sometimes you'll get frogs and sometimes you'll get, snakes and
salamander. We've had salamander,
really?
Turtle. Yeah.
Wow.
We put a turtle in there.
Yeah. A desert tortoise come up from southern Utah for a drink.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's crazy how it overwintered in the mud, and it was just totally, it was all good. But anyway.
See, and I look at a water feature and I think maintenance and work and cleaning it out and emptying it out and refilling it and all that stuff. So what would you tell someone about that?
Yeah. So if you're going to have a pond, that's going to have more maintenance to it, and so you have to really love it. It has to really be something that you really want and you're sure of it, because it does require some maintenance. One of the things that I've learned though is if you can set it up somehow where you can do a water change out whenever you need to. Say the pH starts getting a little off and you start getting the string algae and things like that happening. The easiest way to remedy that is, say if you have fish in there, take the fish out and have it in a safe spot, in a storage area for them, that they can hang out in for a little bit, and then get the old water out and get some fresh water back in, and do your cleaning and everything. Get the fresh water back in, turn the feature back on, get it circulating again, and let the chlorine evaporate out, and then put the fish back in. But to be able to do a water change out, it's going to save a lot of time and effort and energy rather than trying to keep the same water all the time.
So would you say maybe once a year or would you do it?
I would say in the summer is when your algae blooms are going to happen, and so you have to kind of be aware of that. As the water temperature increases, that's when it becomes more maintenance. So that's the difficult part, because that's the time when you really want to be enjoying it. That's when you want to be out in the yard and you want to have friends over and family over, whatever. And then your water feature's looking pretty bad, and so it can be a challenge. It's worth it, in my opinion. I think just keep it clean if you can and do a water change out. But other than that, just getting in there and cleaning it out. The other option would be to not do a pond and to do cascades, waterfalls, and shallow pools and reflecting pools and things like that. And that's a lot less maintenance. So little something for everybody.
That is cool. I've recently seen pots and containers that could be a water garden as well.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's getting more popular too. If they're wanting the sound of the water and still for some birds to come in and get a drink or take a bath or whatever, they'll still show up. There's water there. But it's like birds prefer like a depth of like, it depends on the species, but inch to a couple inches, of water is just like the perfect amount. And they like that recirculating water too, and that's a lot of the benefit of that. And it's still water conservative because you're recirculating the water. You're going to lose some water due to evaporation and some splashing and things like that, but the benefits are there too. You're giving back to the environment in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
because we are a desert.
Yeah.
And birds like freaking water, so that's how we get them in.
If you think about it, say you reduce your lawn size significantly, so you're conserving on that end, yet you have this water feature, and you're putting some water into that, but you're also benefiting the environment and the local wildlife around you. So there's a trade-off. You can still be considered green.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay if you want to have a water feature. But I don't think it'd be, maybe if you're going to have a water feature, maybe think of some other ways you can conserve water, and make sure you have drip systems for your plants, and make sure you have a smaller lawn area, for example, something like that to trade it off and balance it out.
I was just thinking I wanted to try to do that to my pot. I have that huge big old pot. I used to have a ginkgo, little dwarf ginkgo in it.
Yeah.
Now it's in the ground. It's just right in front of my porch. But I had the ginkgo in the pot for like 2 or 3 years, and now I'm trying to figure out something to do with the pot. And I was thinking about turning it into a water feature.
Yeah.
Just have it, a little pump and stuff underneath, and plug it into my porch.
Yeah.
Throw a water lily in there. And that would be super cool.
That would look great.
Little birds. I love bubbling rocks, so that's kind of what I was trying to think how to do that in my pot. But.
Yeah, you could for sure do that. That would be great. And then, what you can do, I'll give you a little tip. What you can do is on the line that goes from the pump to the water feature itself, put a T on that with a valve on it, and then you can use that pump to pump out the old water.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then you just shut that off when you're done pumping it out, and then put in the fresh water. And that'll help you to be able to do a change out on it.
Right on.
Keep it clean. Keep it nice. Use that water, though. Use that to water your plants. And when you're doing a water change out, water your plants with it. The plants will like that. And as long as you don't have a lot of chemicals or anything in the water feature, but it's good for gardens. Say you had some garden boxes, or say you wanted to deep water a couple of your trees, that would be a good time to do it. And that coincides nicely with the time of the year. So if it's the heat of the summer and you're wanting to deep water your trees anyway, and you've got a water feature to maintain, and it's becoming higher maintenance in the summer months, then that'd be a good time to do a change out and use that water. So it's not like you just need to get rid of the water and let it go down the drain. It's not like that. Just plan it out.
Yeah, where we met, so we worked at Marinda. I don't know if you're familiar.
I'm not familiar with
that. It was a corporate garden. We were some of the gardeners, and
in the river bottom, Provo River bottoms.
Yeah, Provo River
okay.
Bottom, yeah. It was Tahitian Noni owned the building.
Oh, okay.
So it had a huge water feature running through the entire property. There was actually 2 separate ones. There was one that was like a reflection pond that they kept chlorine. They kept it more like a pond. We didn't take care of that. It was the facilities that monitored that, but we had to take care of the actual like plant one that is like a river that just went through the entire thing, and we had muskrats in there.
Oh yeah.
And so we had the fun option of catching them, and we had raccoons. I mean, we had all sorts of stuff in there. They put in
trout.
fish.
They put rainbow trout in there. They were huge.
Oh yeah,
big. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, they'll get big.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But we got the pleasure of cleaning that out once or twice.
Yeah, raking the algae out and the whole bit. And,
had a pump, big old massive pump, and pumped all the water out.
And the more you can cover with plants, like say with water lilies,
right,
the surface of the top of the water helps shade the water beneath, and then it reduces algae, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. For a pond, absolutely. That's a great way to do it. Because you can have a little ecosystem going on there if you do it right, if you balance it out and have your plants and the roots kind of filter things and keep things nice. And
what is that, like the parrot feather aquatic plant, water hyacinth?
And there's so many different lilies, though, like you're saying. And that's fun, too. Some people will get into all the different varieties of lilies, as part of water gardening. It's just a fun thing to get involved with.
The one that struck me when we were first doing this, our pond thing, was the tropical water lily. There was no name to it. It was just like, oh, that's the tropical water lily. And it had blue in the center of it. Like blue and yellow, and it smelled so fragrant. It was like a honeysuckle smell. It was like, oh, nice. It was so cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So that drew me in. I'm like, I've got to have that.
Yeah.
I know it's $50, but I'm going to.
Some of those plants are so pretty that inspires people to build a water feature. They'll see the plant and they'll say, I've got to have that plant, so now I have to have a pond.
Yeah. But it's good, though. It's good to, be straight up with it, with your clients and everybody, really, as far as like, hey, this is, some of these features will take some maintenance, And, but then you can show them the options. And then these groups, this group over here, this style is minimal maintenance.
That's right.
The one that just like drops right into the rocks or whatnot.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because then you get the sound and you get the birds and you get all that ambiance and everything like that. And so there are kind of two different worlds. Ponds, the pond side, that's a different realm. And then the disappearing waterfalls, the cascades, the bubbling rocks, the water features like you're talking about with a decorative pot, and you have to turn it into a water feature. And there's so many different types of water features out there, but the gist of it is to get the sound of the water going. And I know we had a client, for example, their home was close to a busy road. And so we built a water feature that had a pretty good sized pump in it, so we could get some really good sound. And by the time we had that fired up, it gave you something else to listen to. And I'm not saying that it 100% blocked out the traffic, but I would say probably at least 75%. And then when people would come over, they would compliment, hey, the sound, I love how it sounds, this is so nice. And before they would always, say something about the traffic. So,
yeah, man, that's brilliant. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't love the sound of water?
Right.
Freaking idiots that don't. It's too loud.
Tell us about your music.
Oh, my music. So, I landscape during the day, and I try to build these cool projects and things like that, and work with my clients, which I love, and then in the evenings I'll go and play loud music. Nightclub scene of Salt Lake City, and nice. The nightlife, and it's quite the balance. You go from working with trees and flowers and plants and shrubs and water and whatever else to nightlife, loud music, and having some fun with friends. It's a good way to unwind for me, so that's what I do.
The therapeutic part of like dealing with plants, at least that's how I guess running a business, there's those stresses that come with it. Designing for me is what makes me kind of like lose myself.
Yeah, you can spend hours, can't you?
Oh yeah, and redo it. Like spend 4 hours on one design and be like, nah, and just do it again. And then you get to go unleash creatively in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the therapeutic value of loud music and heavy